On behalf of the management, staff, and students of the Orbis School Mundwa, we welcome you all to this TEDx event 2024-25. Across the world, from schools and institutions to theaters and communities, people unite at TEDx events to share ideas, spark conversations, and foster connections. Today at the Orbis School Mundwa, we are both proud and excited to host TEDx, an event that brings together bright minds to share ideas that can inspire change. Our theme, The World is Your Oyster, the next milestone, invites us to explore the limitless opportunities that lie ahead and celebrate the journey towards new milestones and possibilities. My name is Abhinav Sarkar, and I'm honored to host you all this evening as we set out to explore on a journey of inspiration, discovery, and new possibilities. Let's discover how we can seize opportunities and shape our own destinies.
Indeed, the world is your oyster. It's up to you to find the pearls. I'm Dhyana Patel, and we are thrilled to have you all here with us today. As Eleanor Roosevelt once said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Let's embrace that spirit.
Keeping with our tradition, let us start our event with the school song. I call upon our choir for the school song. All are requested to rise for the same.
That beautiful rendition. Before we dive into today's exciting TEDx talks, here are a few important instructions to ensure that we all have a smooth and engaging experience. To avoid any distractions, kindly ensure that your phones are switched off or on silent mode throughout the event. TEDx is all about sharing powerful ideas. So we encourage you to stay fully present and listen attentively to all our speakers. Each speaker has worked hard to prepare their talk, and we urge each one present here to be respectful and attentive throughout their presentation. Applause is encouraged at the end of each talk. To respect the privacy and intellectual properties of speaker, we kindly request that no photos or videos are taken during the talks. However, We will have official photographers who will capture moments from the event. The teachers and volunteers with May I Help You badges are stationed at the entry and exit point to answer your queries, if any. Our school is a safe place, but in the event of an earthquake or fire, the school's disaster management committee will immediately spring into action to manage the situation and ensure everyone's safety. Students, guests, and audience members will be safely escorted by the teachers and volunteers to the designated assembly point on the field. Rest assured, we are prepared to handle any emergency with utmost care and efficiency. Enjoy the journey. This is a celebration of ideas worth spreading, and we are thrilled to have you all here with us today. Take in the ideas, share your thoughts with others, and let's make this evening one to remember.
This is a unique opportunity that we have here today, so let's make the most of it. We are thrilled to welcome our guest of honor, Ms. Drishti Singh, a dynamic leader whose inspiring journey in Rotaract began from 2016. Currently, she serves as the District Rotaract Representative for RI District 3131, which is a distinguished division of Rotary International encompassing both Pune and the Raigad divisions. As a charter member of the Rotaract Club of Singhgarh Academy of Engineering, Ms. Drishti Singh has held several pivotal positions at both club and district levels, including President, Zonal Representative, Deputy District Rotaract Representative, and Secretary of the Rotaract Zone Institute. Her leadership has driven impactful initiatives such as facilitating the donation of an ambulance, organizing She Roars to empower acid attack survivors, and even supporting orphan children through the transformative project Eklavya Nyasa. An accomplished professional, Ms. Drishti Singh is a senior software engineer at the forefront of the healthcare technology, earning multiple accolades for her contributions to the industry. An electronics and telecommunications graduate with a keen interest in robotics and innovation, she blends her technical expertise with her creativity. Growing up in an army background, Drishti ma'am attributes her values of discipline and service to her upbringing. Outside her professional and volunteering endeavors, she finds joy in reading, traveling, and discovering new experiences. We are privileged to welcome Ms. Drishti Singh as our esteemed guest of honor. As District Rotaract Representative, she is dedicated to fostering inclusivity, innovation, and impactful service. Through her visionary leadership, she empowers Rotaractors to drive sustainable change and create a legacy of unity and excellence in community service. With a commendable body of work and an inspiring journey, let's warmly welcome Drishti ma'am here today. Ma'am, please accept this token of our appreciation in green as a memento to cherish this special occasion. Thank you, ma'am.
We also wish to express our gratitude to two remarkable individuals on our selection committee who played a key role in curating today's lineup of speakers. Neeta ma'am, with lifetime passion to teach English and humanities in some of the country's premier schools, brings not only a wealth of knowledge, but also a deep commitment to fairness and equality. And Pranoti ma'am, with over 20 years of experience in diverse marketing domains. As a published author and brand strategy consultant, she has contributed her unique blend of creativity and expertise to our process, ensuring a balanced and impactful selection. Neeta ma'am and Pranoti ma'am are unable to join us today due to prior commitments. However, we sincerely appreciate their invaluable contribution to the selection process. Let's extend our heartfelt gratitude to them. We also extend a very warm welcome to our directors, special invitees, and to our dear audience.
The world is vast, with dreams untold. Each step tells a story. Each move is bold. From every challenge, new paths unfold. The next milestone is yours to hold. With grace we rise. With strength we soar. Embracing what's next. Seeking more. For the world is your oyster, your journey divine, a dance of milestones where your dreams shine.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care if they call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. Gonna make, however big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. We may be right, we may be wrong, but I wanna bring you along to the world I see, to the world we close our eyes to see. We close our to see. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head.
Beneath the shimmering waves of the vast ocean lies a secret, a treasure born of time and resilience, nestled within the gentle embrace of an oyster shell. Nature weaves its magic. Slowly, steadily, the oyster opens its arms to reveal its precious creation, a luminous pearl, the symbol of purity, beauty, and strength.
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for. Been searching in the dark, your sweat soaking through the floor. And buried in your bones, there's an ache that you can't ignore. Taking your breath, stealing your mind, and all that was real is left behind. It's fire, it's freedom, it's flying open. It's a picture in the pulpit and your blind devotion. There's something breaking at the brick of every wall. It's holding all that you know. Do you want to go? Where it's carrying on colonized, where the better ways are better than night. Impossible comes true, it's taking over you. This is the greatest show. We light it up, we won't come down. And the sun gets
Let's give a big round of applause to our talented dancers for such an inspiring and uplifting performance. It was a beautiful reminder that every step we take, every challenge we face, and every milestone we achieve is a part of a greater journey.
Absolutely, Dhyana. Now, as we continue on this journey, let us take a moment to reflect on the global impact of TEDx. We will celebrate the incredible ideas, the inspiring speakers, and the memorable moments that have shaped this platform. The next video, TEDx Through the Years, showcases the powerful journey of TEDx events all around the world. Let's roll the video and look back at how these ideas have evolved to inspire change.
Welcome to something special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
Isn't that truly inspiring? Now, as we bring the focus back to our own stage, we are thrilled to introduce our lineup of 6 remarkable speakers, sharing different perspectives on our theme. Each one will inspire and evoke the sense of meaningful conversations among our attendees. It's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker of the day, Dr. Malhar Ganla. A dynamic leader and innovator, Dr. Malhar has built a remarkable career across diverse fields from healthcare and sports to personal transformation. As the founder and the Chief Innovation Officer at Freedom from Diabetes, he has dedicated his work to improving lives through health and wellness. His passion for lifelong learning is evident with extensive qualifications in dentistry, exercise physiology, sports psychology, and design thinking. Today, he'll be sharing his insights on exercise, the motivational tool one can ever have in life to embrace new opportunities and strive for our highest potential. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Malhar Ganla to the stage.
Yeah, thanks. It's on? Mic is on? You reduce the echo a little bit. Yeah. Little bit, that light will have to go down, huh? Okay. You're going to put that light on or not? When do we start? You give the signal, then we'll start. Okay? Okay? Yeah. Isn't it amazing the kind of talent we've seen today? To me, talent is an overused word for motivation. Given I work in the field of diabetes and obesity and simply helping people regain their health, we tend to assume that a lot of these conditions come because people have some kind of eating disorder. You know, they just, we'll have to redo it? No. Yeah, start left. Okay. Yeah, we'll just redo it, okay? We'll redo it, yeah. Yeah, isn't it amazing the kind of talent we had today? Most of the kids, we can see that it's all motivation. Some of kids just have it. Some of us have to struggle our way through it in life and then discover what it is we are truly motivated for. But here's the interesting part. Over the last 10 years, I've treated thousands of people, either diabetic or obese or having some kind of condition which has just slowed their life down a bit. And when we try to help them regain their health, we find it's really hard. And there's two things that I have learned along the way. When you have some kind of disease which you feel that it's something you eat that's causing your disease, trust me, it's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you. There's always something eating away at the motivation within you. And the second thing I found is when you ask a group of people like this, and I say, are you guys motivated? Everybody will say yes. But when I meet you in a context where we are one-on-one and I ask you, are you motivated? You'll say no. It's really remarkable how demotivated people are today to even do stuff to improve their own quality of life. And our whole goal is now in this motivational economy to somehow have people become independent with being motivated. I'll tell you today why I believe exercise is the single greatest tool going forward in this future that we don't know yet. In the last few years, I've been to 20 cities, 5 countries, just asking one question to every person that I meet. Would you say you are a motivated person? And you'll find it ironic that in every room, every consultation, every patient says, no, I am not motivated, which is scary. Secondly, in my father-in-law's words, when I was about to get married, he asked me, son, are you a go-getter? Now, in my mind, go-getter meant ambitious, right? But funnily, just a few days into marriage, I realized what go-getter meant, because every day since, his daughter has told me, every morning, go get milk, go get eggs, go get cheese. Then it became go get a job, and today, it's go get followers. But end of the day, we have to all be go-getters, right? But what are most people seeking motivation for anyway? See, adversity is easy. When you have something befall you, you will get up and take action. But what I find is there are two things that most people seriously seek every single day of their life. One is, we all know this, some kind of general global purpose. Why am I born? What am I doing here on this planet? Some kind of clarity on this, which is, of course, the Japanese have coined a term for it. It's called ikigai. Thirdly, I have found that in my life, it has evolved decade to decade. Nobody's born at 14 and 15 who figures out what they want to do for the next 50, 60 years on this planet. So it tends to change. Initially, most of us, for lack of better ideas, just go about skilling ourselves. We go learning some or the other skill, which hopefully will then get us work. We can make a living, hopefully raise a family, then on save some money. And lastly, those of us who are smart enough will start giving it back. This is the circle of life that we have been told is what it's all about. This is what purpose is. But it changes in every decade. But while this is good at a global, holistic scale, what do I do right now? I'm standing here giving this talk. You're sitting there listening to this talk. Someone's sitting at home. What are they supposed to do in this moment? I get my global purpose is to help people become more positive, regain health, etc. But right now, my purpose comes from a word, from the Swedish word, juta. What does juta mean? It means joyfulness in the moment, which means savoring what you're doing right now. Whether you're traveling, studying, working, eating, exercising, the tragedy of the human experience is we want rich, immersive experiences all the time. Like the kids who are dancing right now, or when I'm doing something I'm really focused in, we call it the zone. The point is, can I live my life in such a way that I don't want to be somewhere else all the time? If I'm sitting here, I'm wishing I was with my friends. If I'm sitting somewhere else, I want to be in a third place. That's a very frustrating way to live. The whole goal for most of us is, yes, to have a global purpose, but at the same time, learn to savor the moment. Stop trying to be somewhere else all the time. Where do we see both these? We see it in sport. Any athlete you look at, the guy, whether he's practicing, whether he's playing a match, or whether he's just resting, they just seem motivated all the time. And I've spent a large part of my career studying athletes. In fact, during my post-graduation, I spent time with Olympians saying, how are these guys like this all the time? Are they taking something for it? Whereas for us, maybe 3 days a week we're motivated. The other days, we really don't know how we pass our time. In music, you see musicians composing music, you see them practicing, or you see them performing. They just seem in that zone, which is fascinating for the rest of us, for the normal mortals, right? But how do people find both these? How do they learn what they are born for? And secondly, how do they figure out, how do I enjoy this moment? It's not very hard, but the first one is the typical one. So I've spoken to a lot of 60, 70, 80-year-olds and tried to figure out how did they come upon what it is that they feel that they are meant to have done in this life. And they did it by elimination. They started as something, then they changed something, then another pivot, then another pivot. And eventually, over a period of 60 years, they kind of had that clarity, oh yes, I was born to do this. But that takes a long time. Now, my dad used to tell me when I was younger, I used to keep asking him, how do I know what I'm born? I'm not passionate, I'm not passionate. He said, son, you keep digging 3-foot wells in 10 places, you aren't going to find water anywhere. You got to sit down and dig 3 10-foot wells. Only then will you strike water somewhere. But it doesn't happen. We are always looking for, grass is always greener, right? Second one is luck. Now, I'll give you a story about luck. I'm sure you know Usain Bolt. When Usain Bolt was 16, 17 years old, everyone in that part of the world tries to play cricket because it's more lucrative to play cricket. And he started out as a fast bowler. But his coach saw him running so fast up to the crease that he said, you know what, son, you go try out for athletics because you're too fast for cricket. And we all know what happened afterwards. So that's how it happened, by accident. Now, for many of us also, we are here courtesy a bunch of accidents. We never had it by design. Elimination and accident is one way. But I have figured out in my life that the best way to do it is the third way, which is by learning to grind down and repeat one activity repetitively till it's in your subconscious. And what is in your subconscious? It's not necessarily that activity. It's just the fact that you can be a disciplined, focused human being. Take, for example, Buddhist monks. When a young child is ordained into a monastery, he's given 2 buckets, 15-liter buckets and 1 teaspoon. He has to transfer water from one bucket to the other, just sitting there and doing that. Now, at a global level, it looks like that thing has no purpose whatsoever because the minute he's finished transferring one, he has to transfer it back. And that's all he does for a few years. The point was never about transferring the water. The point was about narrowing the focus, removing options. And that's what happens essentially. It happened with me. When I was about 30 years old, I was very confused, very lost. In fact, my wife, I remember she told me one day, she said, I know from 3 to 4 years you're finding yourself. While you're finding yourself, can we go find some work also? So I said, but if I find work, I again won't find myself. She said, the answer you're looking for is you want to find meaningful work. You're not happy just making a living. You want to go beyond that. So let's focus on finding work. We'll eliminate our way through, but can we start focusing on something? And the first thing I did was got back to academics. That's me in Auckland. Absolutely on a fool's errand. I had no idea what I was doing for a good couple of years. But once I studied all that stuff in detail, I spent a lot of time at the fitness center. I met Olympians, studied in detail on what makes great athletes great. Then on, I took all that knowledge and I entered the trails of New Zealand. For 7-8 months, I ran till my shoes wore off. Because I realized that all that knowledge, all that ideation has to be ground into my subconscious somewhere. So you'll find most runners, most swimmers, most cyclists will tell you that somewhere down the line, it starts to seep into your brain that you have to remove options. This is all interesting, isn't it? WIFM in Dubai stands for What's in it for me. So most of you are waiting, okay, this is all cool. What am I supposed to do? Here's what you're supposed to do. You make this safe assumption now that once AI comes into our lives in the next 10 years, it will start performing almost every task of ours. Almost everything from cooking to dropping you to work to performing your work, you're going to have actually nothing mundane or repetitive to do anymore. So how are you then going to find yourself if everything is taken away from you? So you will struggle to find both Ikigai as well as Enjuta. And this is especially true for the next generation, because this is a normal day now. A normal day is where we are all reeled in to a myth called inspiration. See, inspiration without action is useless. But inspiration to bridge to action requires sustained motivation. It's very easy to see a reel, get excited about something, but then think about action, but it doesn't actually happen because you lack the basic motivation to go do it. Now this is my day. I wake up in the morning, I watch 25 reels. I watch 25 in the washroom. Whether I'm doing number 1 or number 2, I am watching reels. Third, 25 on the way to work, 50 at work, 25 on the way back, and 50 before sleeping. What is that sum total? It's 200 reels per person per day, and this is average. If I was not working the much I am, I would probably watch another 100. Now, I did a study of my reels in the last 2 weeks or so, and I found that my social media feed basically consists of inspirational posts maximum. That's 50, which is an aha type moment. Like I need to get that high, like wow, okay, some clarity. Second is the awe, the golden retriever type of reels, where I look at the dog or I look at something and I go, oh wow, that just feels good, oxytocin stuff. Third is of course humor, which is the epic fail variety or something or the other where someone's insulting somebody else and that kind of comedy stuff. Fourth are ads, which I just skip. So end of the day, this is my social media feeding every single day. So half of it literally is going to inspiration and motivation, and some of it is humor. I've become dependent on this. I need to break free of this. Now where do I break free? It happens when I understand that I'm not inspiration deficient. I am motivation deficient. The difference between these two words, you read a book, you see a reel, you travel, you meet people, you observe somebody doing something you like, that's inspiration. If you have to start doing it, creating or building a better life or a better quality of life for yourself, that requires sustained motivation. And why do I believe exercise is the best way to do it? Because this is how exercise works. When you visualize somebody doing something that you want for yourself, let's say you see someone running a marathon and you're like, wow, I can do that. That second, you have gone into a dopamine secretion, which is the same you get from sugar. But this is far healthier because you're getting triggered by that sense of future, of possibility, saying, okay, I can also do that, but you haven't done anything yet, you've just seen it. The second step is you actually get up, join a gym, join a running club. The first 15, 20, 30-minute run that you do, or walk, or hike, or any physical activity beyond 10, 15 minutes, the endorphins come into your body. Your body floods with these natural painkillers. That's what endorphins are. You suddenly can't feel all the aches and pains. You can't feel your age. You're suddenly optimistic. And once this happens, this state lasts for 6 to 8 hours. But this is not enough. It also wears off. What happens after that? The serotonin comes into play. Now, serotonin is our antidepressant. It's where we feel happy, and that's where these words come from, well-being. General optimism is what it's about. In general, you're not a pessimist anymore. You're like, okay, life's good. I'm also good. Things are not so bad. You can handle insults. If someone says something to you or disagrees with you, you're like, it's okay, I can deal with it. Why? Because your serotonin levels are high. But this lasts for 4 to 6 weeks. As long as you keep working out and doing other stuff, yes, you keep building on it. But steady workouts will give you a steady dose of serotonin. And last is the oxytocin. That's the self-love. Now this, in general, has to last for years because the adversity of aging is coming. It's like a Mack truck which is going to hit all of us. At that point, we are going to depend on the body to help us stay positive. And you need a body which can do that, which is trained in the art of serotonin secretion and oxytocin secretion. The best way to do this is simple. How do you start? Simple. There are 4 stages of a workout. See, I must have sent close to 20,000 people to work out, and I know for a fact, out of 100, only 30 people continue working out after a month. Okay? 70% drop out after the first month because they find it too hard, too monotonous. They're not willing to do the effort. But there are 4 stages to every workout and to every workout plan. The first one is, why am I here? You've gone to the gym, you started running, you're like, but why am I here? Because humans love asking existential questions for no reason at all. You're like, what am I going to get in these next 20, 30 minutes? You can't figure it, you're bored, you put on something on Netflix, and soon you're like, it's done, I'm leaving. But the truth is, the good stuff is just after this. The first 15 minutes later, you'll start counting on your watch. How much is left? How much is left? You're constantly counting down the minutes in a workout. But after this comes, now that I'm here, I might as well do it. So you'll finish it because that sense of completion adds to your serotonin in your head. You're like, okay, I'm not so bad after all, I'll finish it. And once you finish this, comes the flow stage, which is called, can I just be here? Now, every activity that you take up, which essentially has to take you into a flow, is like this. Whether it's weight loss, whether it's sugar control, whether it's preparing a dance, doing anything creative, it goes through the 4 phases. All I'm telling you is exercise is the best place to train your brain. Of course, meditation is a very close second, but meditation can be a lot harder, and it takes a lot more years to get good at it. It's tricky. Exercise is relatively easy. Your body is always ready to exercise. You just get up, put yourself in that ecosystem, and you can start doing it. Okay? Just to give you an example, this is Dilip from Chennai. In 4 months, 25 kgs. Now, why am I showing you this? If you read the post he sent me, he said, I was broke, I was depressed. And in 4 months, he's optimistic again. He's positive. He couldn't walk 600 meters. He's now running 6 kilometers. All that has translated into a better quality of life, into focus at his job. He's getting promoted. The point is, when you start focusing on one area of your life, it will magically spread to all the others. So ladies and gentlemen, my message to you today, just start a little exercise and watch your life change in a few months from now. Thank you very much. Oops.
Hello.
Helped us all understand the difference between motivation and inspiration. We truly appreciate your time and effort. Let's give Dr. Malhar a big round of applause.
Should we go?
Our next speaker is Manisha Sanghvi, the chairperson of Sanchiti Healthcare Academy, which oversees Asia's largest orthopedic hospital and healthcare. With a strong passion for social impact, MAM leads initiatives such as free cleft lip surgeries for children, arthritis camps, and village health adoption programs. Today, MAM will share her valuable insights on redefining leadership through sisterhood. As MAM aptly puts it, sisterhood is the key to unlocking the vast potential within us, turning the world into our oyster. In a world often focused on competition, MAM will show us how true leadership thrives through collaboration and mutual support. Please join me in welcoming Manisha ma'am to the stage.
Hello. A very, very beautiful good evening to each and every one of you. Thank you, Orbis School, for having us here. Well, to begin with, I would like to share a short story. When I was a little girl, my grandmother, wise woman that she was, gave me a thread and asked me to tie a knot. I found it a little weird, but I did what she instructed me to do. And then she told me, untie it. I just couldn't. I tried my best, but I couldn't untie it. Frustrated, I looked up to her, and she smiled and said, life is like this thread. Life is going to get knotted, but you can't always untie it. This thread with this knot is going to get stronger, and yet you can make something beautiful out of this thread. Well, I didn't much understand what my grandmother was trying to say, but it did stay with me. As I grew older and started navigating leadership roles, I understood the thread and the knot. The knots were the obstacles. We were going to have obstacles, difficulties, challenges in our life. They were going to be part of our life, but they were meant to be there not to break us, but to make us grow stronger. Well, let's fast forward to my role as an executive director at Sancheti Hospital. It was founded by my father, Dr. K.H. Sancheti. I was handling the administration and the non-medical, so I chose to head administration. My brother, Dr. Parag Sancheti, he was a medical director then, family-run organization. You can imagine the complexities. And anyway, hospital industry is equally complex. Before I took up my role as an executive director, I was made to work in every department at the ground level. That kind of gave me a pulse to the hospital. I found the pulse to the hospital. 80% of our women were women. 80% of my staff was women. And at the top of the pyramid, we had these skilled, talented surgeons. At the bottom of the pyramid, there were men, there were technicians, there were security guards, there were housekeeping staff. But in between this were these 80% women who were the backbone of our hospital. Well, being an orthopedic hospital, we had a wide range of patients, right from poor farmers to international visitors. They all came to Sancheti Hospital being super specialty. They had very high expectations from us, right from the best infrastructure, best healthcare delivery, patient experience had to be the best, number of expectations. But there was a catch to it. They wanted all this at a very affordable cost. And that was difficult for our sustainability. Well, now, to match these expectations, it wasn't just a role of doctors, it was a role of each and every one of us in the organization. No amount of Kaizen, no amount of Six Sigma, ISO certifications were going to be enough for us. We needed to rehumanize the entire process because we were dealing with human lives and human pain. So we had to work right from admission to discharge, and that was going to be challenging. As I said, my biggest resource were the women. Little that I knew, these are the women who are going to be my biggest strength to achieve my goals. What was interesting is these women who were the support staff, they were just not 80%, but my leadership team, they were also 80% women. For example, my ICU head, my nursing head, my HR head, my maintenance head, my quality head, my operations head, they all were women. Of course, they were facing a lot of challenges. They were putting their best foot forward, but we were not efficient as teams. There was something missing. We needed to kind of find a common ground where each and every one of us felt relevant and thrived. We started something like fearless feedback, where any woman from any department could come and talk to us about her interactions and her problems between the doctors and patients. Well, initially, they were a little scared to come and open up with us, but they realized that we were not there to judge us, and it worked very well. At the hospital, we had women from all walks of life. Some of them came from very poor economic background. Some of them were educated. Some of them came from middle class. They spoke different languages. Their skills were different. Their reactions to the same problem were so different. But we had to do something. Once again, I realized that we had to make them relevant, and for that we needed a common ground. And there, this eureka moment, I found that common ground. Management of cures. Yes, the hospitals get very chaotic. Since our fearless feedback had worked very well, I digged further. You know, in India, way to anyone's heart is through their stomach. And if you wish to connect them, instantly talk about their family. That is the best way to bond with any Indian. So I started meeting up these women from all the departments who were working at the ground level for breakfast. I started talking to them, but what I realized, just like they had the best solutions, they understood their work very well, but they had lovely, inspiring backstories. These were the women, some of them were widows, some of them were single mom because the husband had left them, they were divorcees. They were working very hard, waking up in the morning, cleaning, cooking for their children, and almost traveling for an hour to reach on time. That touched my heart. Now, for some reason, we had to build this organization as a learning organization where each one of us could, speak to each other freely. Later on, we started incorporating their suggestions. We started having very systematic meetings, training sessions. We told them that how each one of them had equal stakes. They had equal stakes, and if we had to improve the patient experience, every department mattered. Because in a hospital, every department is interconnected, and they understood very well. So there was a progress that I was seeing slowly and steadily. But something was missing. Hospitals are not typically glamorous environment. It's far from that. There's so much of negativity because they're patients with a lot of pain. And I needed to change that. I needed to bring some positivity. I needed to bring that element of joy and happiness. I got thinking, what should I do? Unlike men, women find pleasure in very, very small things. So we started celebrating our festivals. Just the idea of coming to work and dressing up brought so much joy to them. After that, we started celebrating their birthdays. Then we started celebrating the results of their children when they passed board exam. And now our organization was becoming a learning organization, not because we had planned like that or structured like that. It evolved, where everyone wanted to help each other and everyone wanted to grow with each other. That was the beginning of our sisterhood. I would say that there were moments where nobody wanted to shine out, but they wanted to show up. There were young mothers who had a problem with their child, or there were mothers, or there were women who had an ailing parent back at home. We were showing up for them. These women were stepping in if they couldn't come to work, not because it was convenient, but it was necessary. All that helped for our organization to become better and efficient. Now our balance sheet was looking better. Our PSI, that is Patient Satisfaction Index, we accepted only at 90%. That was the basic minimum everybody had to have, and that was becoming better. Finally, we had turned from family-run organization to professionally run organization. Our hospital was finally running like a well-oiled machine. Now, let me pause at this point and connect it to the metaphor of oyster and pearl. Well, I realized, I started looking at life with a different lens, and I found out that leadership grows with challenges, just like pearls. When an oyster, there is a grain of sand enters the oyster, it doesn't reject it. It covers by layers and layers and layers till something beautiful comes out of it. That's a pearl. We women are like that. You know, when we are handed over the grains of sand, like societal pressures, personal pressures, family pressures, self-doubt, barriers that challenge us, we can get bogged down. But when we face it and we confront it with resilience, collaboration, and grace, we become the pearls, the shining pearls. And sisterhood, oh, that's the thread which binds us, all of us, together. Now let me connect the dots back to the story that I had told you about a thread and a knot. Of course, life is going to get knotted. There are going to be obstacles, there are going to be difficulties, there are going to be challenges, but we need to turn them into opportunities and make something beautiful out of it. Now, let me bring this metaphor to a real life experience. I want to share one more story which really happened at Sancheti Hospital. COVID-19, we all went through it. I think the biggest pandemic we had ever seen in our lives. There was atmosphere of panic. We didn't know what was going to happen next. Our hospital, like the others, had turned into COVID hospital. And then there was a shortage of oxygen all over the city, and our hospital was no exception. But we had this old vendor who used to come regularly. No matter how much the shortage was, he actually always came and delivered the oxygen. That night also, he was going to deliver oxygen at 11:30. Middle of the night, I got a call from the ICU saying, "Ma'am, the oxygen supply is going to last only for 3 hours." And we had 5 patients in the ICU on oxygen. You can imagine the panic that I went through. But in seconds, I got hold of myself. There was no room for panic. Fear had to take the back seat. I just went and rushed to the hospital. Well, I had not called my leadership team, but they came to know, and all of them just reached the hospital in just few minutes. Everybody was there. We got frantically, we started making calls to all the possible vendors, kiske paas oxygen hai, anybody who can provide us. We started calling up hospitals, can you lend us till tomorrow morning? But nothing was working. We started praying very hard. Imagine what was I going through. I didn't have to show, but I was imagining, what if we are not able to save lives of these 5 patients? I would have died. Not of COVID, but of sheer guilt because of us, that we are going to lose these lives. In the middle of this whole crisis, one of the leaders says, "You know what? I'm going to make a cup of tea after these crises are over." Well, this was not meant to be a joke. Obviously, we were not going to laugh at it. But it reminded us that we were together in these crises. We were not alone. We had each and every one. And the minute that you realize that you have someone with you, it is very comforting. The prayers were going on. We were trying our best. Well, just a few minutes before our supply got over, our prayers were answered, our efforts paid off, and we did get oxygen, and we were able to save everybody's life. Now, the point I'm trying to make is not about the ICU and the cylinders came and all that, but that was our sisterhood. That was the essence of our sisterhood. Something profound had happened, and that was a testament to our sisterhood, where nobody said, "This is my title, how can I do this, and why should I do this?" We were together, and for the first time in my life that I was so proud of my sisterhood. We had built a very strong sisterhood. And at the same time, we had made an organization which was lean, efficient, and agile. Well, the professionally turned hospital had become and flourished. Now, I would like to say at this point, of course, the whole world is our oyster. And let's redefine leadership through sisterhood. Let's stand up for each other. Let's cheer each other. Let's inspire each other. Let's multiply our strengths. Let's share our victories. Let's celebrate our differences, because sisterhood undoubtedly is the way forward. At this point, I'm reminded of a beautiful quote by Ratan Tata. If you want to walk fast, walk alone. You want to walk far, walk together. And women and sisterhood and friends, we have to walk together. How far? As long as we can dream and more. Well, 2 years back, this beautiful neck piece of my pearls of my sisterhood, I handed it over to my brother, our chairman, Dr. Parag Sancheti. And I moved my focus to education at Sancheti Healthcare Academy to create more leaders and to inspire more leaders. Well, I'm aiming to make more pearls over there. And guess what? As the luck would have it, once again, I have 80% women right out there, and I'm looking forward to making these pearls. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Kudos to sisterhood. And thank you once again, Orbis. Thank you, Orbis School. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manisha ma'am, for sharing that. Individually, we are a drop, but together, we are an ocean of success. Your words have empowered us to see the limitless possibilities we can achieve together. Let's give ma'am a big round of applause. Our next speaker is Irisa Bindu, a multi-talented star in the making. From mastering the guitar through Trinity College London to shining in Kathak and Western soprano vocals, Irisa's journey is one of passion and dedication. A proud Class 12 student of the Orbis School, Mundwa, and a performer at Swatantra Theatre, she's acted in several short films, including Minky, Machli, and Pinky or Papa, and also directed and edited Ablation. Her work earned her the Best Actress Award at the Chambal International Film Festival and the Hum Hai Hero Award for Excellence in Theatre. She's also the lead vocalist for the band Zehen. Please join me in welcoming Irisa Bindu to the stage.
Hello. Hello. Lovely audience over here today. Thank you for coming to the school to listen to us. Thank you so much. So, to start off, I have a question for all of you. What do coastal waters, World War II, and the Hubble crop bajra have in common? Pearls. Coastal waters house oysters. A turning point in World War II was the Pearl Harbor attack. And bajra is what we call in English pearl millets. Pearls, as we know, are rare, precious, and formed through the constant irritation of the oyster. Imagine for a moment the experience of an oyster. As Manisha ma'am rightly highlighted, one day something invades its shell. A small parasite or a grain of sand. It's an irritant, an unwelcome force it has no control over. But rather than succumbing to it, the oyster responds by coating this irritant in layers upon layers of nacre, eventually forming a beautiful, lustrous pearl. The oyster is simply doing what it can to cope, to survive. But in doing so, it inadvertently creates something the world considers beautiful. Now, let's imagine the situation in human terms. Imagine you're walking down the street, minding your own business, when someone just shoves you. Of course, you're hurt, maybe even a bit angry. You might yell at the person, but then you brush it off and move on with the rest of your day. Time heals, and just as the wound is about to heal completely, someone comes along and decides to peel it right off. Why? To wear it as jewelry. Now that's horrifying, to say the least. Yet, in a metaphorical sense, this is precisely what we do with art. We admire the beauty in it, not realizing it often comes from a place of hardship, pain, or loss. Artists, like the oyster, create something from the discomfort life throws at them. And society has built entire industries around it. The pearl industry alone is valued at over $13 billion. But I would argue that the fields of dance, literature, music, art, and film are worth much, much more, and also one that has deeply enriched human experience and connection across time. What makes us value the beautiful products of someone's resilience, yet often overlook the value of nurturing creativity itself? When life pushes us down, some whine, some complain, but a few choose to do something different. They write, they paint, they dance, and they sing. They take life's irritants and turn them into something that shines. Javed Akhtar once said, "Art is the vocal cord of society." And I completely agree. Art is how we express our shared experiences and how we connect on a level that transcends words and logic. Yet, I sometimes worry. Is this voice fading? Is our society, in a way, becoming mute? Is it because of this unspoken rule that says the arts are not serious enough and are not a stable enough career option? As an actor, dancer, and musician myself, I sometimes feel like an outsider. Most of my friends are working towards examinations like JEE, NEET, or UPSC. They're preparing to become doctors, engineers, and IAS officers. And most of them, believe it or not, enjoy creative pursuits. They play an instrument, they sketch, they write poetry. But for most, these are side hobbies and not career options. Maybe they feel they don't have a choice. Perhaps they face parental pressure, an abba nahi manenge situation. Or maybe it's a sign of something deeper. A systemic thinking that prioritizes STEM subjects while sidelining the arts. Now, to be clear, I am in no way diminishing the importance of science, technology, engineering, and maths. In fact, science and mathematics were among my favorite subjects in school, and I performed exceedingly well in these subjects in my board examinations. Surprisingly, even better than some of my friends who chose to take up science. But having said that, science is crucial. It is the reason why so many of us are here today, why we are healthy, why we have the technology to be staring at this giant wall of light. Science is foundational. It has saved countless lives and driven society forward. But if science is what allows us to live, then art gives us a reason to live. If science gives us medicine, art gives us healing. If science puts food on the table, art feeds the soul. The oyster itself is indeed a delicacy, but the pearl is what an oyster is known for. Over the years, art is shifting from being a pursuit of passion to a highly commercial pursuit. And to highlight that, I would like to show you some things. If we, as a society, focus solely on our intellectual abilities, our ability to calculate, measure, and analyze, while neglecting our capacity for emotional complexity and creativity, what kind of society are we building? As humans, we possess not just superior intellectual capabilities, but also superior emotional capabilities as compared to animals. Animals can experience emotions like anger, grief, joy, yet they do not comprehend, or rather communicate, complex emotions as effectively and efficiently as we humans can. For instance, an animal doesn't know what it feels like to murder your own son in a fit of rage, and the remorse, guilt, and sorrow that follows seeing your own blood bleed to death. But Ivan the Terrible does. An animal doesn't understand the feeling of betrayal a woman would feel when her own husband ritually sacrifices their daughter for a victory in war. But Clytemnestra does. Art allows us to empathize, to see life from different perspectives, and to grapple with our shared human experience. The voice of an artist becomes the melody of change. If we continue to neglect art and emotional expression, we risk neglecting a crucial part of what makes us human. Our society is an oyster, which holds a world of science, and the dunes of problems already exist. Then why are the pearls not being made? Coming back to my previous point, over the years, art is shifting from being a pursuit of passion to a highly commercial pursuit. To make money, people are now resorting to making synthetic plastic pearls. Art is no longer made to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable, but rather to make the comfortable more comfortable. Let's take cinema, for example, an art form we all love. We all have some core memory associated with cinema, right? It could be bunking school to watch DDLJ for the 4th time, or it could be the time you spent with your children at the cinema halls. For me, watching movies and talking about movies was an essential part of growing up. No Amitabh Bachchan film was missed in the household, and the right bag was always filled with spoilers for the poor rickshawala. Going to the theater was an event. But now, we all think, why bother? We'll watch it when it's available online. The only movies we now go to watch in the cinema halls are masala, multi-starrer action films, and that too bad ones, with only animal-like violence and no actual food for thought. Now, there's nothing wrong with watching such movies where you leave your brain at home. I also enjoy watching them. But the problem lies in the fact that these are the only movies that get collections in the box office and turn out to become hits. While movies like Kennedy, which get standing ovations in the international circles, have to struggle to get distributors to get even a release back home. Movies are now made with a set formula. If something works, you'll find a wave of movies on the same lines. If an extremely violent action movie becomes a hit, then more will be released. If some series about an entrance exam gets praise, then all the entrance exams will be attempted. Creativity is seen as a risk in a field based on art. Isn't that ironic? And not just in cinema, but in music too. Music has been reduced to mere audience grabbers in cinema. The music is now designed in such a manner that it can be fit into a 1-minute reel worthy of your time. Due to this, a lot of the music now sounds the same, employing the same beats but at different tempos. Remixes are now the trend, and experimentation is too risky. In all the dance reality shows, the dance is slowly being replaced with gymnastics and acrobatics. The contestants' talent is laced with a sob story to ensure increased TRPs, just because once upon a time, a genuine sob story worked. In art, pardon me, there has been some glitch. Never mind, you'll have to see dance only for now. Okay. In art, the art that we saw in the previous slides, they made people feel something. But now, artwork has been reduced to a price tag to be displayed on one's wall to show the world how rich one is. Due to which, art went from masterpieces of intricate detail to doodles with mops. If we want pearls, if we want a society that values beauty, resilience, and connection, we must create conditions for art to flourish. We should first inculcate a culture of appreciating art, consuming art that challenges societal expectations and truly comforts the disturbed and disturbs the comfortable. Not just watching movies and listening to music for entertainment, but for enrichment of the soul as well. We have to make a choice. Let's not encourage these formulated works. It is our responsibility as audiences to create an environment, to create a conducive environment for good art and not discourage unconventional thinking. Real pearls or synthetic plastic pearls. You may not be able to tell the difference at first glance, but when you scratch the surface, you will know which is which. Thank you for letting me have the pleasure of your time.
Thank you, Irisa, for that captivating talk. We cannot wait to see where your talents will take you next. Let's give Irisa another huge round of applause. It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mrs. Sujata Tattir, distinguished author, educationist, and speaker with nearly 40 years of experience, a retired principal and current advisor at Springdale's Children's School, Kota. Mrs. Tattir has dedicated her career to empowering educators and shaping young minds all across India. Ma'am is the author of 3 of Amazon's best-selling books and has received numerous accolades, including the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Indian Society for Training and Development. A passionate advocate for creativity in education and women's empowerment, Mrs. Tattir continues to inspire and lead by example. As Maya Angelou beautifully said, you are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. Mrs. Tattir's journey is a testament to this, showing us that learning and growth have no age limit, and there are always new milestones to achieve. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Sujata Tattir to the stage.
Hello everyone. 70. Just let the number sink in. What comes to your mind? A retired person watching TV? Nothing much to do, life slowing down, a feeling that your best days are behind. But now I, Sujata Tattir, will tell you how my life changed at 70. 70 felt like a fresh start. It felt almost like turning 17. And what made it happen? It was not any particular talent or genius. It was just curiosity and hard work. So I will be stressing on these 2 points. Curiosity turned my 70 into a new beginning, and it can do the same for you. Because curiosity doesn't come with an expiry date. When I turned 70, I felt a lot of energy. Life became more purposeful for me. That's the change that I felt. There was only one small change. I had the wisdom of experience and 4 tech-savvy grandchildren who thought that they knew everything about social media and who would tease me, half laughing, half admiring, and ask me, "Dadi, what reel have you made today?" Well, I wasn't always that cool, Dadi. Now, let me rewind. I was fortunate to have studied in the best schools and colleges of Kolkata. But, to be honest, I was bookish, a bit of a nerd, and I would read an entire book in a day, faster than my teachers could recommend them. Because books were my passion. I loved books. They were my escape, and they fueled my curiosity. But then life has its own plans. It threw me a curveball, and I got married into an Orthodox joint family where life revolved around the kitchen. And in a city where women didn't step out to work. But I had a dream. I wished to do something meaningful. But dreams need courage. I found mine 9 years later, when with the support of my husband, I joined the teaching profession and became a teacher. I still remember my first day at school. I was a bundle of nerves. I was excited also, scared also, more so because I was totally raw, inexperienced, untrained. I used to wonder how I would manage those little kids. I also used to wonder, what if I failed them? But every day I would walk into school and see the faces of those children, bright, curious, full of energy, and full of potential. I would say to myself, if they can learn, so can I. One day, the principal of my school told me, "Sujata, you have to do your master's." Well, how on earth was I supposed to do that with household chores running from dawn till dusk? But the fire in my belly urged me on. And I studied late at night, juggling textbooks and kitchen pans. And I didn't just pass. I ranked 9th in the university. Not bad for someone balancing a home and a dream. Then I thought I must study because curiosity was again and again telling me that I must continue my learning. I did a diploma in HRD, another diploma in the teaching of English from CFUL Hyderabad, and finally my B.Ed. I rose to become principal and soon stepped into the role of a CBSE resource person, mentoring teachers and school leaders, learning from them and discovering new ways of teaching and learning. Then at 60, people thought now she will retire, she will relax. But again, life changed for me. My school directors decided to retain me as an advisor. And I couldn't have been happier. Because what would you do? Just imagine if you felt that the world still needed you. Would you step up or step down? I had no choice but to step up. And to this day, I'm advisor in that school. Then, at 62, I immersed myself wholeheartedly into the activities of the Indian Society for Training and Development, Kota chapter, and at 62, I received the Lifetime Achievement Award from them. But the story doesn't end here. At 64, I decided to learn to drive. My family was aghast. At your age, you'll crash into something. But I practiced, I learned. Of course, I must confess that I made mistakes on the way also, but I learned to drive, and I drove not just a car, but my own destiny. When I was 69, just shy of 70, I decided to become an author. Now, this was something very difficult. I always had that urge, but I could never really do it. Then I wrote 3 books, all 3 of them became bestsellers. Then I decided to do something even more difficult. You know, I was always terrified of technology. But I decided, let me record an audiobook of my first novel in my own voice. As I told you, I was terrified of technology, and the very thought of editing audio files seemed like a foreign language, like learning something totally new to me. But you see, curiosity has a very funny way of pushing you out of your comfort zone. And you know what I did? I turned my home into a mini recording studio, stacking pillows and cushions everywhere to make it soundproof, the room where I was recording. I fumbled and I stumbled, and there were times when I thought, why on earth am I doing this? But I continued. Now I just want to ask you, when was the last time you did something that scared you? And finally you overcame it. What were your feelings? Didn't you feel an immense sense of joy? And that joy is something that overcomes every obstacle. It helps us conquer all our fears. That's what I wanted to bring out. Then, when I sat at my desk to write my next book, a disturbing thought struck me. What was it? I thought, this thought had been actually nagging me for the last 40 years of my teaching. And I thought creativity, or rather the lack of it in our schools. Children, I know, and all of you will agree, are born creative. They have a lot of curiosity in them. But are we, as educators, nurturing that spark? Or are we unintentionally snuffing it out with our rote learning and rigid systems? This thought kept me awake late at night also, and I thought I must do something about it. So I started my creativity series. Here I introduce what I call the 5C formula for creative growth. The first is conceive. Conceive an idea. I just explained it to you like I had conceived the idea of stepping out of the traditional Orthodox family and doing something meaningful, making an impact. So you must have a vision, a goal. That is the prerequisite. Then connect it. Connect it to the world around you, to the right people. I was fortunate. I got a very good mentor in Shweta Samota. I joined her academy. And then, in the earlier years, I realized I had been connecting with the students, the parents, teachers, and the community members. All this helped me in my journey. Then it comes curiosity. You should have that curiosity to explore the unknown. Example, I made the audiobook because it was something totally unknown to me, but it can be done at any age. I also started with Instagram Reels. Create something meaningful, because if ideas just stay, ideas will remain as ideas. They have to be given a tangible form by creating. So I wrote the books. They were my creations. Cultivate. Now, creativity isn't just a single job you do, a single work you do, a single output. It has to be cultivated, refined, and nurtured so that you can reach the ultimate fulfillment. Now, here also, I keep learning writing techniques. Then also during my school days, during my teaching days, I kept learning the teaching techniques. Now, here's the interesting part. Science backs me up. Research has shown that our brain is malleable and capable of growth. It is changing and growing every minute. Even now, as you are listening to me, your brain is undergoing some changes. So what does that mean? It means that you and I, all of us, can build the type of brain that we want. That creativity is just a skill, a muscle, that anyone can build with the right mindset. Note the words, mindset is very important, and practice. This shattered the biggest myth I had nurtured all these years, that only a few people are creative, and if you have it, it's good. If you don't have it, you can't do anything about it. No, creativity is for all of us. It's the key to problem solving, breaking barriers, and also it helps us to unlock our potential, true potential. And it just requires 4 things: curiosity, persistence, resilience, and the courage to take that first step. So my dream is to make India one of the most creative nations in the world. And here's the twist. To fulfill my dream, to spread the message, I needed to learn social media. And believe me, at 70, navigating through social media, making those Instagram reels was, it was very, very difficult, understanding the hashtags, the filters, but I kept at it, and finally I learned it. Of course, it wasn't very easy, but I did it. And you might laugh at some of my amateurish reels. You will say, what are these? And people did laugh me. But again, let me remind you that if I can learn while people laugh at me, you can do anything. Agreed? Okay. Then I also decided that to create my own website. But this was a big challenge for me. For many of you sitting here, it would seem very easy, but it wasn't easy for me. Then I thought that because I was a struggling author with very limited resources, and still trying to figure out many things, struggling to make my mark. So people suggested, why don't you hire a professional? As I used to do when I was the principal, I used to outsource it to professionals. But now I said, no, I'll do it myself. Of course, it was very difficult for me. I studied a lot of tutorials, and finally it was done. And imagine how happy I was when I found it done. And even better was that some of my younger author friends, they reached out to me seeking tips on how to make their websites. This was something I had never thought would happen. Now, curiosity is something that really it was like a compass for me. It opened not only my mind, but also the world. And my husband and I, we used to travel a lot. And this is my picture at 70, parasailing. I posted this video. This is this year's picture only. Very recent, means at 70. This is Andaman Islands. Now, then I posted this on social media, and I received a lot of comments. Comments were, weren't you scared? Scared? No. I was enjoying myself with the blue ocean below me, suspended in the air, song in my heart, wind in my hair. It was a beautiful experience. So this is what curiosity makes one do. It nudges you forward. And there's so many things that you can do if you are curious. Now, here's the big question I have for you. You know that number one, curiosity has no age. That I've discussed. Second, curiosity helps people to stay young. That's what I felt, that because of my curiosity only, I ventured into doing all these things. Otherwise, I would have just sat, not done anything. And you all are young. There's so much more that you can do. Then, the third thing is that the brain can adapt and grow at any age. It continues adapting and changing every second, every minute. Even when you think you are not doing anything, your brain is working. So then what is stopping you from redefining your future? Rewriting your future? So what is your next milestone? Let me ask you. And unleash the power of creativity and rewrite your future, India's future. Are you ready? Thank you. I'll go from here.
Thank you, ma'am, for that enlightening and powerful talk. Your insights have truly inspired us to understand that curiosity doesn't come with an expiry date. Let's give a huge round of applause to Sujata ma'am for sharing her incredible wisdom for being such a beacon of inspiration. As Albert Einstein once said, the world as we have created is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. Our next speaker, Ritika Shamsundar from the Orbis School, Keshav Nagar, Pune, is a perfect example for this mindset. Aspiring to become a lawyer and preparing for the common law admission test, she is driven by her passion for justice and her determination to make a difference. An avid reader and skilled orator, Ritika believes in the power of knowledge and communication. Please join me in welcoming Ritika to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I'd like to ask you a question. When was the last time you paused to reflect on the world's vast opportunities for each of us? We've all heard the phrase, "The world is your oyster." But what is its significance? This timeless phrase by Shakespeare captures the endless opportunities before us. But here's the catch. The pearl in the oyster doesn't just appear by chance. It is formed through perseverance, relentless effort, and the ability to seize life's opportunities. People and their unique ideas have shaped the world since times immemorial. Picture Shushrita, the father of surgery, whose techniques laid the foundation for modernized surgical procedures. Now, think of Aryabhatta, who unraveled the secrets of the cosmos and unveiled the power of zero. Who knew that a juicy apple that fell on Newton's head would give birth to the laws of gravity? But what inspired these individuals to come up with such revolutionary ideas? Was it their luck or mere accidents? The common thread among these extraordinary individuals is their ability to think differently, analyze, and give birth to ideas that form the base of future innovators' inventions. But this was in the past. Let's jump to the present. In a world filled with the ordinary, we come across people who become extraordinary. They undertook the journey of building empires from dreams and turning vision into reality. Don't we all wonder, what do they have that we don't? As Charles Kingsley said, the only way to achieve the impossible is to believe in the possible. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, and Bill Gates accurately reflect this quote. They're ordinary people who converted opportunities into something extraordinary. Their persistence, willingness to take challenges head on, and the quest to push their limits to achieve the unimaginable truly set them apart. In 1969, Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon, uttering the immortal words, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." But what's often forgotten is the journey. The thousands of people working behind the scenes, the failed missions, the moments where it seemed impossible, the broken hearts, and the flickering ray of hope. As Armstrong rightly said, every journey begins with small steps. You learn to walk, then to run, and finally to soar. The first step is dreaming. Dream big, dream bold. Let your imagination run wild. Now, think about your life. What's your moon landing? What milestones are you reaching for? The truth is, we are often afraid of not finding a pearl. But the pearl is created by relentlessly pursuing your dream, overcoming every challenge, and celebrating every victory, no matter how small. Take the Wright brothers, for example. When they aspired to soar the vast skies, people laughed. Their journey began with multiple failures, but that did not stop them from relentlessly pursuing their dream. And finally, they were successful. That's a milestone for you. Every step in this journey, every challenge you face, and every tough decision you make is a milestone. The tonic to success is the 3 Ds: dedication, determination, and discipline. Dedicate your life's journey to achieving your milestones. Pursue it with determination and discipline yourself like a soldier. Success is the process of setting clear goals, staying focused, and being consistent in your efforts. But what happens when you face a roadblock? Do you stop or do you seek advice? The brightest morning comes after the darkest night. Just as stars illuminate the night sky, we too have our guiding lights, people who inspire us to be the best versions of ourselves. Mentors are the glowing orbs that help us pierce the darkness and emerge as pearls in the oyster, radiating determination and perseverance. In my journey, my parents have been my guiding lights, illuminating every step of my way. Seek your guiding lights and let them lead you to success. But do you think your path to success will only be a bed of roses? While your efforts and mentors will cushion your path, there will always be some thorns. That's where you must be flexible. Draw the path to achieve your milestones, but be open to exploring a new path to achieve them. A closed door is not the end of the journey. The next one may have something better for you. Remember, your ability to adapt is a sign of your resilience. The journey to success is full of challenges and opportunities. Every obstacle is a sign of your determination. Confront them with courage. Remember, each one of us is gifted with something special by the Almighty. It is on us to make the best use of these gifts. We have the potential to convert every challenge into an opportunity. The world is your oyster. It's time to create your pearl. Thank you, everyone.
Such an inspiring event. You've reminded us all that the world is ours for taking, and the next milestone is just within reach. Now, it's my honor to introduce our next speaker. To quote Aristotle, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Mr. Shirish P. Sebastian truly embodies this philosophy through his extensive global experience as an educator, wellness coach, and transformational leader. With over 30 years of experience of inspiring growth, leadership, and positive change, he is here to share his profound insights. Please join me in welcoming Shirish sir to the stage.
A very good evening to you, and allow me to address you as fellow learners. Pearls of wisdom have been flowing through the 5 speakers that we've already had. And this journey, I would definitely like to begin with extending my sincere gratitude to Team Orbis for putting up this whole platform for exchanging ideas, for TEDx, that is present in over 170 countries, inspiring each one of us. But my credit list does not end here. I definitely would also want to say a big thank you to my life coaches, my parents, for the values inculcated in me, for the upbringing that I had. A big shout out to my teachers. Learning that hasn't stopped. Teachers still ever so present in my life. A big thank you to my family. I would say the strongest backing that I have in my life is the ecosystem that exists at home. But a big thank you for the last 28 years, having interacted with more than 1 million students. I don't have the count of the teachers' orientation programs or exchanging ideas with parents and principals. These, in many ways, are my gurus. So I don't want you to misunderstand that all the ideas that I'm going to share with you are mine. I want to give my due credit because these are my gurus who have nudged me to reach this far. As a human race, we are evolving. We are still work in progress. We've seen through so much. The Stone Age, Ice Age, Agri Age, Steel Age, Locomotive Age, Industrial Age, IT Age, Globalization Age, and the lockdown age, which all of us have witnessed. Many of the ages that I mentioned here, we have only read or we have heard. But this one, we have surely experienced. Doesn't end here. We are into a digital age. While we traverse through this journey of life, and I am going to be pushing the rewind button and the forward button, but in this remote called life, there is one button that you and I need to press as often as possible. And that button on our remote is to pause, to take a break, breathe. Many a times in the razzle and dazzle of life, we forget to breathe. Now some of you already wondering, everybody here is breathing. But then to be conscious of our breath, few moments before going to bed tonight, breathe. As soon as you wake up tomorrow morning, breathe. Because every breath that we take is a solution. All the speakers ahead of me already mentioned, challenges will come. One of the speakers mentioned like knots. And every knot that we have in our life is just a breath away. Because here, fellow learners, we as countries are evolving. Families are evolving. Communities are evolving. And the good old saying was that it takes a village to raise a child. Oops, village. Where are the villages gone? So here when we are looking at this missing element of a village to raise a child, if we all grew up with ideas of a community as one family. Some of us were or still a part of a joint family. And now the joint family has become a nuclear family. Nuclear family in today's world where 4 stay under one roof all by themselves. क्योंकि मैं और मेरी तन्हाई अक्सर ये बातें करते हैं. Families which are offline and more online. And in families, when we've seen a choir of the school performing, we've sung master stroke, I'm sure we'll have a redefining and a new name for the song, The Drummer Boy, because we have witnessed a drummer girl today. Children come home injured. Now look at the change in the ecosystem. And everyone here, even though we haven't gone through the basics of first aid, we definitely need to know what we do to treat our children who come home injured. First aid kit, a little bit of Dettol and some bandage if the wound is a little deeper. We do a little medical aid required, run to the hospital, get some stitches done. We know all this. But in the world that we live today, our children also come home with some injuries that cannot be seen. Here, we miss the village that helped raise a child. While we have absolutely no medical experience to treat this, from the world of experience that I come from, also prompts me to believe that we don't need much of psychotherapy to handle this. Just the tender love and care that we expressed when our children came home injured like this is the same tender love and care that we need to extend when they come with injuries like this. Marks not up to the mark. Some performance didn't go well. Somebody said yes, somebody said no. So many things they come up with. And the ecosystem at home is something that you and I need to be thinking about. Well, growing up children, and when I can see so many of these pearls here, 4 factors that determine our growth: time, home, education, and friends. Well, fellow learners, we can compare bringing up children in shaping up these pearls of today and tomorrow as clay on a potter's wheel. Wheel represents time. Time and tide waits for none. The potter's 2 hands, one representing education, the other home. One exerts pressure while one extends support. And the water that the potter uses in between is friends, an important and integral part of our upbringing. Here when we are looking in terms of friends, we have friends in the real world and we have also online friends. लेकिन हर एक friend ज़रूरी होता है. Here when we are looking at terms of the ecosystem at home, our scripture reminds us that home is where a child receives courage, wisdom, and character. These 3 don't come from schools. This comes from the home. Wisdom, we're talking in courage and character. So fellow learners, what you and I leave behind for our children doesn't matter as much as what we leave in them. So there is so much to do. I'm sure this is what has prompted the likes of Saint Mother Teresa to remind each one of us, quote, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family, unquote. School, on the other hand, is a seat of knowledge, discipline, and talents. A place where these 3 are nurtured. So knowledge, discipline, and talents. Evolving, as I said, it's a process. We are work in progress. Reaching out to my fellow learners, especially to parents and educators. There is so much more that we need to do. The ecosystem called school paves the path to success. But the ecosystem at home is what makes one capable. So here when we are looking in terms of the industry demand, and so many of you who represent different industries, what are the industries looking for in an individual who's coming into their organization? 2 basic requirements. One is the ones who have the ability to think critically, critical thinking. And the second is those who are good in conflict resolution. So here when we are talking in terms of critical thinking and conflict resolution, I'm sure what the world wants is the survival of the fittest. And I'm sure many of you will agree. Because in the rat race that all of us are in, it is always survival of the fittest. My fellow learners, can you please explain to me how come this and this mammal went extinct? Because this was the fittest during its time. Fellow learners, it never was, it never is, it never will be survival of the fittest. If at all there is survival, it is only survival of the adaptable. Those of us who are able to adapt to the change happening around are the ones who survive. Fellow learners, the family now becomes the seat of values and technology. Our homes are incomplete if there is only value and no technology. Our homes are incomplete if there is only technology and no values. Both need to coexist at the same time. So here the key word throwing across to these pearls is self-development. When we talk in terms of development, can you jog through your mind and think of some developed countries? Well, let me remind you, every country that flashes in your mind is now at war, either directly or indirectly. Is this a sign of development? Will a developed country foster peace, or a developed country take sides in a war? Developed people divided over culture, divided over religion, divided over sexual preferences, divided over gender, divided over language, so many divisions. What then would you and I classify, categorize as being developed? I would like to share 3 ideas. Being developed in today's world would be people who are strong from within. Individuals who know their capabilities. And individuals who are good for society. So here when we streamline this whole self-development, fellow learners, especially parents and educators, it's time for us to learn, unlearn, and relearn some of our core values. We are awaiting at the dawn of a new India. But also let us be mindful of an eternal India that never left. The mantra for today is to think global, but to act local. The diversity of culture, the diversity of our individual nature, and also the blend of technology that has come into India is something that awaits these pearls. So, quick recap. For us to have an ecosystem where there is coexistence of values and technology, enough time taken by each one of us to breathe, to be adaptable to these changing times, making ourselves strong from within, capable, and becoming good for society. So as we dwell on this topic of the world as an oyster, I look at these beautiful pearls in the making. Fellow learners, especially parents and educators, we are not done yet. We can't call them the lost generation because a fruit is known by its tree. There is so much we still need to do for them to make this place a better world, for each one of us to become an oyster in which we hold these pearls of today and tomorrow. Thank you so much, and God bless us all.
Let's give Shri Sir a big round of applause for inspiring, thought-provoking, and empowering talk. You've shown us that family is the strength that keeps us together, is the love that lifts us, and is the foundation of our dreams. What an enriching evening it has been. The ideas shared today have truly stimulated our minds and sparked new thoughts. We have explored so many diverse perspectives, and there is so much for us to carry back home and reflect upon. Thank you all for gracing this occasion. A big round of applause to our extraordinary speakers, whose wisdom has illuminated us with phenomenal insights. Just like the pearl inside an oyster, these ideas have the promise to inspire and transform our lives. Let's take this inspiration and let it resonate within us as we move forward.
We now now request our guest of honor, Drishti ma'am, to address the gathering and share some insightful words of wisdom with us.
Thank you so much. I would like you to take a pause from the plethora of pearls that we have heard today and think if you're crazy enough to think that you can change the world. Are you crazy enough to think that you can change the world? Good evening, esteemed dignitaries, honorable speakers, faculty members of the Orbis School, director of the Orbis School, parents, and dear students. I would first like to thank the visionary principal, Ms. Smita ma'am, for having me here and hear the pearls of TEDx Orbis School. I would also like to thank Shahrukh sir and Ms. Preeti ma'am, Ms. Farida ma'am, and Ms. Sheena ma'am that I had the privilege to meet today. Before I dive deep into my story and share insights, let me ask you another quick question. How many of you have used ChatGPT? Quite many of you. And for those who haven't, don't worry, you're probably more productive than the rest of us. AI tools like ChatGPT have become such a significant part of our lives. But do you know that the idea of ChatGPT or generative AI was coined in which year? It was coined in the year 1985. The time when people were thinking that the great Steve Jobs that we know of today, a crazy guy, he coined the idea of having laptops. And people thought he's really crazy enough to think that those boxes of computers can be portable and be, with us while we go to our work, while we go to our vacation, and be just, a handful of laptop in 1985. In one of his interviews, he spoke about generative AI. He spoke about having a system that will take in all the data that we have, all the inputs that we can give, and generate this beautiful outcome or the output. An evolving space which will learn through all the challenges that you give it, all the data that you give it. 1985. People were not even sure that we'll have a laptop or an iPhone or an iPod. But everything that you see today starts with an idea, a crazy idea. Steve Jobs once in his famous speech has said, the ones who think they're crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And the question that I started with, do you think you're crazy enough to think that you can change the world? I was in my engineering third year when I met one of my relatives. She was an acid burn attack survivor. And it was none other than her own husband that did that. I never saw her in any of the functions. She was a distant relative, but I never saw her in any of the functions. I barely knew her. But she had visited Pune, and I got the chance to meet her. And I kept on thinking, why doesn't she attend events? I was a crazy person to think that I can bring about a change. Because when I interacted with her, she told me there's a taboo associated with acid and burn attack survivors. People feel ugly when they meet me. People get uncomfortable when they meet me. They sympathize with me. There's a very thin line between sympathy and empathy. People forget that. And I think to myself, a third-year student, engineering student, thinks that she can, redefine beauty. But how do I do that? I was part of this organization, Rotract, and I thought, we have fashion shows, right? We have these, great-looking models adorned in beautiful dresses. Everybody, comes, they look at the beauty, and they go, what a beauty. Now, the crazy in me thought that why can't I have a fashion show for acid and burn attack survivors? This is the time when we did not have that blockbuster Chapak starring Deepika Padukone. This is way back in time, in 2018, I believe. I was crazy enough to think that. But with my team, with another 50 crazy heads, I organized an event, She Roars. And that included 20 acid and burn attack survivors adorned in beautiful dresses, walking hand in hand with me and, my other students from college. We had a footfall of about 2,000 people. It happened at Amanora Mall that you must have visited. It has a huge balcony there where we organized it. So anything that you can think of, any crazy thing that you can think of, if you have the right kind of people with the right kind of collaboration, some patience and persistence, sponsorship, not getting enough, strive hard for it. Approach your parents, approach your faculty, approach your friends. But if you want to execute that crazy little idea that you have in mind, it is possible. Amazon started as an online bookstore. Jeff Bezos in 2005 did not think we will have something like Amazon Prime. It had its fair share of failures, challenges, of course. But the world is your oyster, right? And for a pearl to be in making, it has to go through that irritation, through those challenges, through that mixing up. Jeff Bezos did it. Steve Jobs did it. AI that we know today, ChatGPT, an ever-evolving space, is doing it. Every day, if we only inculcate AI and technology, we can reach out to the littlest corner of the country, to those people that do not have a voice to themselves, people who cannot reach out to Twitter and tweet, the road is bad. But a technology can do that. You can reach out to the remotest village in India, interact with them, share grievances, and share it with the authorities, and get change in the society. And with that thought, with that little crazy head, if you think you are, I'm sure that with persistence and with courage and with some patience, we can become the pearls that we all aspire for. We can embrace it. So there's one more idea that I want to put forward, which is the bicycle of mind. Do you know humans are far behind vultures when it comes to being the most efficient mover? It was again in the 90s that there was a study that was carried out by the scientists, and vultures, condor, the American vultures, were claimed to be the most efficient mover in the entire Earth space. Humans being far behind. But you know what helped human being a quickest or a quicker mover? Were bicycles. Now you might wonder why I'm talking about bicycles, why I'm talking about vultures. I talked about ideas, right? How ideas are important to see the bigger picture. Now why bicycles are important? Why skill sets are important? Because with bicycles, human can make their minds the bicycles to execute the ideas that we have in mind. Physically, a bicycle or a motor vehicle helps us to move faster. Likewise, if we keep our mind idle, if we do not give it, feed the skill sets, feed the information, feed the data, it would not give you the output. It would not give you the bigger picture or the ideation becoming the reality. So for ideation to become reality, you need to use your mind as your bicycle. And how do we do that? We do that by the technology that we have. AI, we use it, we use ChatGPT sometimes for our homework, for our assignments, or sometimes our speeches. But how do we use it for our upskilling? How do we keep on evolving with time? A teacher can learn artificial intelligence or a programming language, but we need to keep on evolving with time. And today, when you go back home, think about that one hobby or that one skill set that keeps on moving your mind, becomes the bicycle of your mind. For me, it was having a fashion show for redefining the beauty. For you, it could be starting a business that you don't have the expertise in. Or sometimes it could be excelling at your homework or the assignment that you have been given. But become that bicycle for your mind. Give those wheels to your mind. Adapt technology and become a crazy head. Think of the most crazy idea and bring it to reality with collaboration. Thank you so much to TEDx Orbis School and to the esteemed dignitaries for having me at this prestigious event. I loved being here, and I'm honored to have shared the podium with the excellency of speakers, and I hope to have more collaborations with this institution. Thank you so much, and be a crazy one.
We will cherish your words of wisdom. Your encouragement will inspire us and boost our enthusiasm. Thank you. Drishti ma'am, may I request you to please come up on stage as I invite our Honorable Director, Shahnaz ma'am, to come on stage and present a memento. Thank you, ma'am. May I request you, Drishti ma'am, to kindly take your seat now. I humbly request Shahnaz ma'am to stay on stage as we proceed to invite our trustee of the Orbis schools, Shahrukh sir, to join Shahnaz ma'am on stage. I also request Principal Smita ma'am and Headmistress Preeti ma'am to join them to felicitate our wonderful speakers. Shahnaz ma'am, may I kindly request you to step forward and present a token of appreciation to Dr. Malar Gandla, our first speaker. Let's freeze this moment. Shahnaz ma'am, we would be honored if you could present a memento to our next speaker, Manisha Sangvi ma'am also. Thank you, ma'am. Shahrukh sir, we request you to felicitate our multi-talented speaker, Irisa Bindu. Shahrukh sir, we also request you to present a memento to Sujata Tater ma'am. Thank you, sir. Smita ma'am, we would appreciate it if you could felicitate our aspiring lawyer, Ritika Shamsundar. Thank you, ma'am. Preeti ma'am, we request you to present a token of appreciation to Shirish P. Sebastian, our last speaker. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you to all our speakers and esteemed guests for being part of this memorable event. Thank you, Shahrukh sir and ma'ams, for your graciousness. We now request all our dignitaries to please take their seats.
As we conclude this inspiring event, on behalf of the management, staff, and the students of the Orbis School Mundwa, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude. First and foremost, we extend our sincere thanks to all our exceptional speakers for sharing their valuable insights and igniting new ideas. Your words have encouraged us to think differently and push our boundaries. A special thanks to our guest of honor, Drishti ma'am, along with all our distinguished invitees and the Orbis core management team for gracing this occasion with your presence and contributing to this enriching knowledge-sharing session. Your support is truly appreciated. We also wish to express our deep appreciation to our dedicated teachers, admin, and staff members who have been the part of the committees. Your tireless efforts behind the scenes have created an atmosphere of learning and creativity which words cannot fully express. To our fantastic audience, thank you for being a part of this event with your active participation. Your presence has truly enhanced this experience. Lastly, a special mention goes to our organizing team and volunteers, whose dedication and hard work has brought this event alive. Your efforts are deeply commendable. Let's take the ideas and inspiration we have gained today and carry them forward. A heartfelt thank to each one for being a part of this incredible event. We wish you a pleasant evening ahead. A gentle reminder, your feedback is invaluable in helping us to improve and making future events even more better. Please take a moment to complete the feedback form and share your suggestions with us. After the board is placed at the exit, please use your creativity and share your feedback with us. We now invite you to join us for the dinner in the lawn and continue enjoying this evening as much as we enjoyed hosting you. Thank you.
Keeping with the tradition, let us all rise for the national anthem.
भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाता चल गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Audience remain seated until